Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most powerful, but maybe misunderstood, tools in your command line arsenal, NSLOOKUP. Stick with me, and by the end of this, you'll be a full-fledged DNS detective. So, picture this. You've been there, right? You just pushed a new website live, or maybe you just changed a critical setting. It works perfectly on your machine, but nobody else on the planet can see it. It's a classic, pull-your-hair-out kind of moment. So what is going on? Well, the answer is hiding in the Internet's global address book.
And that address book is called the DNS, or Domain Name System. Now, the phone book analogy, it is perfect. It does exactly that. It takes the name that we humans can remember, like a website, and translates it into the long string of numbers, the IP address, that computers actually need to find each other.
So before we can become DNS detectives, we really need to understand how this phone book works and, more importantly, how different programs look up information inside of it, because not everyone asks in the same way.
Okay, this slide right here, this is the whole ballgame. This is the key difference. Your web browser, it's polite. It asks your operating system, hey, where does this website live? But your OS might just give it an old saved answer, what we call a cached copy. NSLOOKUP, on the other hand, it's a direct line. It lets you completely bypass all those local saved copies and go ask a specific DNS server directly for the absolute latest information. And that is why it's such a killer diagnostic tool.
All right, let's start with the basics. The fastest way to get an answer is with a single, straight-to-the-point question. We're going to use what's called non-interactive mode. Let's get our hands dirty.
And the syntax is just beautifully simple. As you can see, it's just NSLOOKUP, then the website or host you want to find, and then this part's optional, the specific server you want to ask. This one-liner is absolutely perfect for quick checks or even for building into automated scripts. And this is a perfect real-world example. So let's just break this down. NSLOOKUP is our tool, obviously. The part that says -type equals MX, that's us telling it, hey, I don't want the website address, I want the mail exchange record. Google.com is our target, and 8.8.8.8, well, that's Google's own public DNS server. So think about it, we're asking Google's phone book where to send Google's email. How cool is that? It's incredibly specific. Now, when you run this, you're often going to see this phrase pop up, non-authoritative answer. Don't let it throw you. This is totally normal. It just means the server you asked, like your internet provider's server, gave you an answer from its cache, its memory. An authoritative answer, on the other hand, comes directly from the source, from the server that holds the original, definitive record for that domain. It's the absolute source of truth.
So the one-liner is great for a quick hit, but the real power, the deep investigation, that happens when we enter interactive mode. This is where you go from asking a single question to having a full-blown conversation with the DNS server.
And getting in could not be simpler. Just pop open your terminal or command line, type NSLOOKUP, and hit enter. The second you see that little greater than symbol pop up, bam, you're in the command center. You're ready to run a bunch of different queries without having to retype NSLOOKUP every single time. And once you're inside, the set command becomes your new best friend. It's like a Swiss Army knife. You can tell NSLOOKUP to only look for certain kinds of records, like an address or a mail server. You can even control how it asks. For example, using setNoRecurse is like asking a librarian, do you have this book on your shelf right now, instead of letting them go search the whole library system for you. It's a fantastic way to see what a specific server knows off the top of its head.
All right, theory's over. We've got the tools. Now it's time to put on our detective hats and solve some actual real-world mysteries using everything we've just learned.
These right here, these are the clues we're going to be looking for. The A record is your bread and butter, the basic address. MX is all about email. But TXT records? Oh, that's where you find all sorts of juicy security information, as we're about to see. Okay, so let's go back to that first problem. Why isn't your news site showing up for everyone? Well, inside interactive mode, you can actually check. First, you type server 8.8.8.8 to point your tool at Google's DNS. Then you look up your domain. Next, you switch it up, server 1.1.1.1, to ask Cloudflare's DNS. Then you ask about your domain again. And here's the magic. If they give you two different IP addresses, boom, you've just proved the change is still spreading, or propagating, across the internet. Not all the phone books have been updated yet. Mystery solved.
Here's another super common one. Why are your company's emails suddenly going to everyone's spam folder? The clue is almost always hiding in a special TXT record called an SPF, or Sender Policy Framework record.
This little line of text is basically a security rule for your email.
Now, it might look like technical gibberish, but we can totally read this like a sentence. It says, hey, this is an SPF record. Then it says, I explicitly allow Google servers to send email on my behalf. And that last part, the /all, that's a message to other mail servers telling them to be a little suspicious of email coming from anywhere else. If this record is wrong, or if it's missing entirely, you have almost certainly found your spam problem.
Okay. Before I set you loose to start your own investigations, there are just a couple of final things to keep in your back pocket, some common dead ends you might run into, and one key difference between platforms.
First off, don't be scared by errors. They are clues. Seriously, NX domain just means that address isn't in the phone book. Maybe a typo? Serve fail means the server you're asking is just having a really bad day. And timed out? That usually means a firewall is blocking you or the server's offline. Every single error just points you in a new direction. And last but not least, a quick heads up. On Windows, NSLOOKUP is the king. It's the standard built-in tool. On Linux, though, you're going to hear a lot of people talk about a different tool called dig. For a while, dig was seen as more powerful, and the old version of NSLOOKUP on Linux could sometimes give you different answers than the rest of the system. Now, NSLOOKUP is fully supported and works great pretty much everywhere, but it's just good to know why a lot of Linux old-timers still reach for dig out of habit.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's this. NSLOOKUP gives you a direct, unfiltered line to the Internet's core directory. It lets you skip the middleman, bypass the cache, and ask really specific, targeted questions to solve real problems. The DNS system is constantly talking, constantly sending out signals about how the Internet is wired together. The question is, with this tool in your hand, are you ready to finally start listening?